Welcome everyone. Today we are exploring radiological safety, the anatomy, feature and defense. The purpose of this presentation is to take a deep dive into the history of radiation hazard and translate those harsh lessons into a actionable clinical vigilance by understanding excellent how and why safety system have failed in past. We can better arm observe to protect our patient and ourselves in daily practices. We being by knowledge a fundamental dichotomy. On one hand, modern imaging is an essential tool. It saves life daily by preventing unparalleled diagnostic clarity and vital interventional guidance. However, on the other hand, we face several biological risks. Improper handling of technology trigger dangerous consequences at the cellular level, such as DNA double standard breaking and genomic instability. This manifests as either deterministic effect, which are immediate, or severity effect based on injury like tissue necrosis, or static effect which are long-term probabilistic based risks like cancer. To understand the risks, we will examine feature across four distinct scale. At widest level, we have global feature characteristic by environmental catastrophe and the total failure of dose limit. Next is the century scale, dealing with orthogonal source and regulatory blindness. Narrowing feature, we look at the machine scale where software malfunction and blind trust in technology lead to disaster. Finally, at the sharp end of patient care, we have the procedure scale. We cumulative dose and operator on answer cause localized harm. Next is global scale. Chernobyl disaster 1986. Let's start the global scale with infamous 1986 Chernobyl disaster. A failed reactor satisfied test triggered a massive explosion, releasing immense amount of radioactive material into the environment. Consequences were diversing immediate death of courageous workers and firefighters, a massive spark in thyroid cancer due to radioactive iodine exposure, a long-term environmental contamination for clinical practitioner. The transmission is clear. Speak adherence to those limitations को एडिके non-negotiable. For more in highlights of personal protective equipment or PPE provider our baseline defense at there having emergency preparedness and evacuation protocol in place fully save lives. Then moving to the community scale, extremely the 1987 Goiânia extreme Brazil, the tragedy being with a disaster, the radiotherapy machine containing highly radioactive cesium-137 was looted from an abandoned hospital by a car dealer. The Godan material fascinated the public, leading to widespread unknowing handling and public exposure. The result is for death for acute radiation syndrome, horrid skin burn, bone marrow damage, and large-scale contamination. The clinical transmission we must take away are abuse, etc. We must never leave radioactive source unsecure. Mandatory tracking and disposal protocol must be regulatory maintained, and source mode must never leave regulatory control. Then machine scale had Herac 25 accident 185 to 1987. The machine scale which has the Phaeton 25 accident that occurred between 1985 to 1985 and 1987. The case a Heratopic software bug in the radiotherapy machine that delivery extremely high fatal radiation dose to patients. This even destroy the public trust in automatic radiotherapy system and lead to several radiation burn and multiple tracking patient death. What those days means clinically means human vigilance must be always backstop technological QA and calibration. We must never ignore unusual machine behavior or repeated error codes, and we must always manually verify coordinated parameters prior to initiating an exposure. Finally, zooming the protocols scale, we encounter a risk seen in hospital worldwide: overexposure during prolonged interventional fluoroscopy. Hence, operation often remain unaware of the cumulative dose building up over time. The consequences to both patient and staff are severe, including skin edema, tissue necrosis, localized hair loss, and radiation in the cataract. To define against this, you must continuously monitor fluoroscopy time, actively switch to pulse and low dose mode, consequently maintain physical distance from X-ray tube. The diagnostic matrix being all these historical features together into single view, from the global monitoring picture of Chernobyl to the regulatory failure of Goiânia, the software breakdown of the Therapy 25 and the operational awareness lapse in modern fluoroscopy, each even regarding of scale, each was a core clinical lesson. We must rely on PPEs, secure our source, maintain vigilance over technology, regulatory track, formulative dose. When we analyze the root cause architecture of this event, we see that the radiation accident has rarely single point feature. Rather, they follow the Swiss his model. A hazardous only reach the patient or operator when systemic gap align. This gap includes the knowledge gap from inadequate training, the normalization of defense in poor safety culture, momentary depths cause human error, and skipping checklists that represent a feature to follow protocols. To book this gap, is rarely on the radiographer track, the universal bring against catastrophic failure. These three pillars are time, distance, and CD. First, we must reduce the exposure duration to minimize the total dose. Secondly, we must maximize the gap between the operator and the source. And thirdly, we must interpret physical density to absorb radioactive energy. Let's break down the first defense, the time management, minimizing active exposure time directly and linearly cut the torch curve. As you can see in this graph, standard continuous fluoroscopy towards the zone with unbreakable radiation by switching to pulse fluoroscopy and utilizing low dose models. We dramatically segment the exposure timeline. This vastly reduces the total area under curve, ultimately protecting both patient's tissue and operator eye from excessive dose. Then our second defense is governed by the Evers square law. The transmission here is vital. Radiation intensifier does not drop off linear, it drops exponentially. If you are standing 1 meter from the source receiving 100% of dose, moving back just 1 more meter to 2 meters drop our exposed to 1/4 or 25%, stepping back to 3 meters drop it to a meter of 11%, simply taking a step back, acting a powerful geometrical shield. Then third caloric physical shielding, proper PPE is not operational. It is our armor, lead glass are essential to guard against radiation. Indicates that the thyroid C protection highly radiosensitive endocrine tissue. The lead apron defends our vital organ and bone marrow from scattered radiation. Finally, structural leads barriers serve our primary environment defense against room scatter. Then all the defense served one of our goal, the ALARA mandate, keeping dose as low as reasonable and achievable. ALARA is not a regulatory rule, it is our fundamental safety culture. As you can see represented by this case, it require a team daily collaboration by radiographer to extend the maximum life-saving diagnostic data while subjecting the patient star and public to the absolute minimum required biological risk. Final briefing. To conclude our briefing today, let's look at what defines the modern radiographer. First, we must mention weakness of our technology. We never blindly curse the machine. Secondly, we prioritize protocol over contents. We never lead a source underscore or keep to safe checklist. Finally, we choose sending our speed. We never sacrifice time, distance, and simply or our PP simply to complete a procedure fast. It exchange to succeed Electricity is what it protects our patient, our colleagues, and the public from unseen threat of radiation.